As millions of people around the world are stuck in self isolation, video conferencing technology has really been the glue, which has kept the global community intact. While apps like Zoom have received hundreds of millions of downloads in recent weeks, it's also been a recent target for cyber attacks. CBS News' Anna Warner has more.
Mom Michelle says her 14-year-old daughter was online in a class for her private modern Orthodox girls' high school when some boys Zoom bombed it.
First, the screens were completely black, and they were saying all these anti-Semitic things, cursing them out, saying you effing Jews, etc. And then one boy suddenly stripped and was naked.
She says her daughter was upset.
She was very embarrassed by it, and she just said, I can't talk about it.
Well, the internet brings out base instincts in people. It's true of every new platform.
Wired editor and CBS News contributor Nick Thompson says hackers are taking advantage of the millions of new Zoom users.
They don't know the privacy settings. They don't know how to secure it. And so suddenly they're vulnerable to monsters who want to interrupt and insult them.
Zoom founder and CEO Eric Yuan says his company wasn't prepared for the influx of novice users.
I think this is a mistake and lesson learned.
He says businesses using Zoom typically require employees to use passwords, something first-time users often don't do.
So this is something new to quite often those are also first-time Zoom users as well.
Is it fair, though, to blame the users? Doesn't the company have a responsibility to protect them on the front end, given that you guys are the experts on your own system?
Absolutely right. I think that's why I say we did not do a good job. When we offer the free service, we should have a training session. We should enable the password. Looking back, we should have done that. Absolutely, this is our oversight.
But tell that to Donnell Williams, who heads the National Association of Real Estate Brokers.
It's not right.
He had over 200 people in a Zoom conference meeting yesterday when someone hacked in and drew a picture of male genitalia on the screen, then started making racist comments.
And then the slurs, using the N-word, in front of all of my attendees who are respected people in our community.
I think there's going to be a brand hit for Zoom without a doubt. People are going to have a few negative connotations about Zoom bombs and privacy failures for a long time with this company.
On the other hand, Thompson says, most people still want the service, including the people we interviewed on Zoom for this story.
I don't blame Zoom one bit. This was a bad experience for these children, and hopefully it won't happen again, for sure.
Zoom's CEO told us he's now taking steps to address what he calls these unforeseen issues. Passwords have now been put in place for all users by default, and K-12 schools will take additional steps. Anna Warner, CBS News, Berkeley, California.
CNET producer Dan Patterson joins me now. So Dan, how are these hackers gaining access to these video conferences, and what are they doing?
Rena, some of the access comes from Zoom settings and some of the access comes from hacks. Let's start with the Zoom settings because this is stuff that you can control at home yourself. So Zoom generates, when you do a meeting or a group chat with Zoom, it generates a URL. This URL is searchable or indexable on search engines some of the time. Now, there are ways, in fact, there's a story up on cnet.com right now. There are ways that you can go in and change this setting, but oftentimes these by default were set so that they would be searchable, indexable, and findable. Many of the other Zoom features, like cloud storage or the ability to generate a URL, for example, mine uses my name, is kind of guessable. So you can kind of plunk in different information and load meetings. Now, the technical hacks, those
Dan, we
are
know that Zoom has had security issues in the past. Why is it becoming more of a problem now?
Well, one reason, easy explanation, Rena, that is scale. Look, Zoom has been widely used in the business community for a long time, and it has been a consumer or a personal tool for some people. Now with coronavirus, all of us are practicing social distancing. We're working from home, and we're talking to our friends and family from home. That means that we use video conferencing software like Zoom way more frequently. It also means that, hackers typically target low-hanging fruit. They go for the easy wins as opposed to the hard ones first. And this means that your meeting URL is guessable and is a target for hackers.
You know, there's also an app called a House Party that a lot of people use along with Zoom. What are these companies doing, Dan, to protect the users on their platform?
Well, as we heard in the lead into this segment, there are features built into Zoom that enabled sharing and social first. So Zoom is changing and making private by default as opposed to public or shareable by default. There are also settings that you can go in to change and make your profile, your setting, a little harder to find and make sure that all of the members of your call are safely protected. But these companies have been dogged by security concerns for a long time. They're making small changes behind the scenes, but I would suspect that almost no one was prepared for what happened with the coronavirus health crisis. And many tech firms are adjusting at the same time, dealing with these problems of scale.
Scale certainly is an issue. Dan Patterson with CNET. I want to thank you very much for joining us.
Great to see you.